For years, people have joked that The Simpsons can predict the future. From presidential elections to global disasters, the long-running animated show has built a reputation for being weirdly ahead of its time. But what if one of their most haunting predictions isn't a prediction at all, but something far more disturbing? Because after the tragic death of Liverpool footballer Diogo Jota in 2025, one particular episode from 2011 has resurfaced, and the details are enough to send chills down your spine. The episode is titled The Feeling. At first glance, it's just another quirky storyline. But when you look closely, when you listen to the monologue, follow the plot, and study the eerie animation, it suddenly feels like you're watching something else entirely, a mirror image of Jota's final moments. In The Feeling, Homer experiences a rare moment of reflection. He envisions a local hero, someone loved by his community, heading out for a routine drive. It's a sunny day, the road is winding but familiar, and everything feels normal. Until it's not. A strange sound. A missed sign. A mechanical hiccup that goes unnoticed. The car veers off a sharp curve. The camera lingers on the silence just before impact, and then, it happens. A devastating crash. A fall into the abyss. It's animated. Fictional. But the emotional tone? Chilling. Because when Diogo Jota lost control of his vehicle on the N122 highway, under similar weather, on a similar curve, the parallels became too much for some fans to ignore. Even more unsettling is a quiet, overlooked moment in the episode. Marge, almost whispering, says, "It's always the small signs. The little things we ignore." That's where the end begins. That line now echoes in online forums and social media debates. Was this just a throwaway phrase in a cartoon? Or something darker? Let's get one thing straight. The Simpsons is not a crystal ball. It's satire, sharp, layered, sometimes ridiculous. Its writers are masters at twisting real-world events into comedy. So how did they create a scene more than a decade ago that lines up with the real-world death of a football star who, in 2011, hadn't even debuted professionally? That's where things get interesting. The accident in The Feeling isn't just vague or general. The direction, pacing, even the sound design, the squeal of metal, the cut to silence, the fall, all feel eerily specific. It doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like grief. Online theorists noticed something else. In the scene, the curve where the accident happens is labeled N14. The road where Jota crashed was the N122, just a few digits off. Maybe meaningless. Maybe not. And then there's the number 28. That was Jota's age at the time of his death. In The Feeling, a close-up shot shows a license plate involved in the crash. It ends with the number 28. Coincidence? Or subconscious foreshadowing? Before we go all in on the theory, it's important to talk about something psychologists call confirmation bias, our natural tendency to focus only on information that supports what we already believe. In this case, if you want to believe that The Simpsons predicted Jota's death, your brain is going to find every tiny piece of evidence to prove it. You'll see the number 28. You'll hear the mechanical sound. You'll remember the road curve. And you'll ignore the fact that The Simpsons has aired more than 750 episodes, and most of their predictions have never come true. It's like flipping a coin 1,000 times. Eventually, it's going to land on heads 10 times in a row, not because the coin is magic, but because that's what randomness looks like over time. Still, it doesn't make the feeling any less creepy, does it? There's another way to look at this, one that doesn't involve conspiracy or prophecy, but something deeper. Something human. What if The Simpsons didn't predict Diogo Jota's death, but captured something universal about tragedy? Think about it, a normal day that turns into disaster. A missed sign. A feeling that something is off, but not enough to stop. These aren't just details from an episode. They're the building blocks of real-life catastrophe. Things that have happened to people throughout history, in different places, under different skies. Maybe The Simpsons wasn't foreseeing the future. Maybe it was holding up a mirror to the patterns of grief and fate that we all live through. Maybe it created a scene so powerful, so emotionally real, that when life imitated it, we couldn't help but notice. Here's the twist: the story isn't about Diogo Jota being written into a cartoon. It's about how fiction, when done well, reveals the truth. The Simpsons didn't know who Jota would become. But they knew human nature. They knew how stories unfold. How tragedy sneaks in when we're not looking. How a simple curve on a quiet road can change everything. And when real life matched that rhythm, beat for beat, it wasn't prophecy. It was myth-making. We looked at Jota's death and saw something bigger than the news. We saw narrative, a moment that felt too perfect to be real. But that's the power of stories: they don't predict the future. They give it shape when it arrives. So here we are. A cartoon from 2011. A football star in 2025. A few numbers, a haunting monologue, a road that bends just a little too much. Was it a sign? A warning? A glitch in the matrix? Maybe it's none of those things. Or maybe, just maybe, it's something even harder to explain: the way stories and life sometimes collide in ways that make us stop and question everything. Not because they knew, but because deep down, we recognize the structure. The rise. The fall. The silence before the crash. This isn't just about Diogo Jota or The Simpsons. It's about the strange way we live now, in a world so saturated with media, with stories, with images, that reality sometimes looks like a rerun. That tragedy feels scripted. That coincidences don't feel like accidents anymore. So no, The Simpsons didn't predict Diogo Jota's death. But what they did do, was show us that sometimes, the most unbelievable story isn't the one written in animation. It's the one unfolding in front of our eyes. And in that reflection, we see not destiny, but our own deep, terrifying need to find meaning in chaos.